Hello, fellow watchers and enjoyers. It is I, Piggy, and I'm joined by Ash.
Hello.
And yeah, we're here to bring you yet another edition of the classic podcast. It is episode 8. Today's episode is going to cover the biggest storylines and takeaways from week 8 of 1985. All the episodes from the 9th of the 4th, all the way to the 11th of the 4th. What are the topics? First off, we have the intro. Then we have Den wants an adult entertainer. Let's just say that. Because I don't know, a stripper should be fine, but I'll just say adult.
It's not getting in the description.
Yeah, I'll have to change it to adult entertainer. Then we have Mary deals with the damp. Then we have Ian wants to become a chef, and then the first ever Julius theme, which will also be like also thoughts about Julius theme, and if it is truly iconic, that's all right with everyone at home. But it better be all right with everyone at home. All one of you who watch. That's burial. And
One thing it's also funny to claim is this is now officially the longest classic podcast series we've ever done. 8 episodes, better than the 7 we did initially. Although we are way further behind than we were originally. Because originally we did 4 episodes a week, but that sounds like a lot more effort. So I like this format. I like this format more.
Drink your lean, Piggy. And then we have thoughts, awards, members' comments, reactions to week 7. Yeah, and then we have membership shoutouts, and then we'll send you home. So I guess to start it off with, we start off with Den wants an adult entertainer. Now what I mean by adult entertainer is, the entertainer that you don't give your kids. Yeah. Well, I'd hope you don't actually. A stripper. I'm on about a stripper. Hopefully you don't give a stripper to your kids. That'd be very fucking weird. But yes, so Angie basically, I love this. So yeah, Den wants to spruce up the pub. He wants to spruce it up. Is he talking about?
He doesn't. He doesn't at all. He wants to go see Jan.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find any excuse to go on holiday to Spain to go see his mistress.
Yeah.
Piggy's telling it from Angie's perspective.
Yeah.
He just really wants to buy Angie a microwave. Lies.
But yeah, so yeah, as you said, he really wants to go on holiday with his mistress Jan. We all love Jan over here. But Angie tricks him and is like, "Hey, how about you get an entertainer for the bar?" And then it's like, "Okay." So he's suited and booted, is all Den, and he gets his suit on. He's slicking back his hair, but I don't mean to alarm you, Den. You're not going to see Maggie Two Tits. You're going to see Bang Bang Bart. I don't mean to alarm you, because it is a gay strip bar, like a gay strip club he's going to, or a hen do. It's a hen do.
He's going to a hen do, and obviously they will likely. Especially in the 80s, likely have a male stripper. So, but yeah, it's one of those funny things. It's like in just before Max Brandon left, when he was kind of floundering before he inevitably came back. It was always funny to see because him and Ruby Allen got together, and it was always weird, and it was always like, this is just bizarre. Like, Ruby's way too young, and Max is too old, and there's too much of a generational gap. And so when Ruby was sick of the relationship, she was just like, Max, I've always wanted to have a threesome. And Max is like, yeah, threesome. And she's like, you like them blonde? Yeah. And then they arrange for the evening, and it gets up, and it's a bloke, essentially. It's a bloke. And Max is like, what the hell? I thought we were going to do this proper. And obviously that relationship didn't stand the test of time, because she would get with her one true love, Martin Fowler. That is a joke. But yeah, so it's funny to basically, Den, you'll love this. Stripper. I'm in. Male stripper. That's so gross. Who would even enjoy that?
I need to go to the bathroom very quickly. My ties come loose. Bollocks.
I just need to tighten the grip around my neck. Just
I like the idea that Den Watts, the character, is just secretly a homosexual that we've gotten wrong for years. That he's been characterized as a womanizer, but he actually just likes men, and no one thought to ask him. Like the idea of that is so funny. Like, because I'm not imagining like this Den Watts where he's somewhat sexy. I'm imagining fucking all 3 Watts with the wrinkles and the receding hairline. Oh god, you got a stripper. Ooh. He's just hiding behind it
Oh,
like
that's
a.
so gross.
He's. I like to imagine, right? Because obviously Leslie Grantham is a tall man, or unless he just stands tall in the fucking bar. But I like to,
He's on stilt.
yeah. But I like to imagine there's like an obvious pot plant where the hen party is, and he's just like, just fucking. But But yeah, he doesn't he does get mad because obviously he's been stitched up, but it is funny.
Basically, he sees it as a good opportunity, though. It's like, fuck it. Hey, I bought your microwave. You know, it's that microwave you want. It is a microwave.
the fucking
Yeah,
size
and
of it.
also I've got to go seal the deal with this business opportunity. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to go on holiday for a little bit. But have fun with your microwave. Have fun working the bar by yourself. I'm off to go have a holiday.
But again, the fucking size of the microwave, like
Oh, it's huge.
it's a fucking huge microwave. As you said in the reactions, if you heat anything up in here, it'll sound like an airplane going off.
Oh, it's massive.
It's fucking it is massive. You could fit about 4 ready meals in it if you could. See, I'm imagining it's massive, but the inside's very small. Basically, my penis. Um, but yeah, continuing on the next topic. Harry wants to deal with the dam. So yeah, fuck, let's do this quickly. So Mary lives in what's the flat number? 46?
I
46.
don't know.
She basically lives in old Reg Cox's flat, and Reg Cox didn't really take care of his flat, did he? No. And there's a lot of mold. I'm looking in the studio flat. It's covered in mold. A shot at ugly strangers. But yeah, she's living in a mouldy flat. She's got bronchitis from it. And Dr. Lake comes. Well, she doesn't know that yet. Dr. Lake comes around because Annie's sleeping very well, but he reveals that Annie's not getting the nutrients that she should be getting. It really upsets Mary. But he's like, Mary, yeah, I think you have bronchitis. I'm going to chat to the council to get you moved. I don't think she does move. I don't think. So she is sat here. She's still stuck here with the bronchitis and in the mouldy flat. So yeah, anything you want to add to
Yeah, it's a
this?
pretty doomed scenario, really, where Dr. Leg then spends the bulk of his time like, look, I'm trying to get her a better flat, so can one of you tell me how to get Mary to get a different flat? And obviously, me making the joke in the interactions, it's like the scam call centers where they're just passing the headset back and forth to like the 3 people next to it, like desks next to each other. Just like, oh yes, oh hello, Doctor Leg, what can you do? I wanted to move her out the flat. Oh, sorry, there's another call online. I'm going to pass you over to my colleague. Just, there you go. Deal with that. Like it's so basically it's a thing of telling that of course the social housing is fucking bleak in London at this point in time. Thatcher's London, not really super generous to the welfare state, you know what I mean? Don't really care about them poors. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and you can tell that Mary's just ill and people are trying to help Mary. We do get, I'm gonna nickname it Pauline's posse, where Pauline is just in the laundrette and she's just getting mates. Neymar's getting advice about what to do with Saeed, and Mary's getting help, and Pauline offers to do a wash for free. So Pauline's getting a little group of mates and is actually helping them out. So I like it, but it's an important story to tell at this point in time of going, yeah, it's fucking rough. She had to move into a house of a man who was drinking himself to death not about a week earlier. And now she has to live there with her baby. It's damp, it's wet, it's moldy, she's getting ill, the baby's getting ill. and she doesn't like. She obviously doesn't really know any better, right? This is the best she's got. It's what she's been given. She has to get. She has to do it. And unfortunately, this is just even though Dr. Leg, and even take that difference, right? She doesn't have the parent to go ahead and be like, hey, we should do this. So it has to be Dr. Leg. And even Dr. Leg, a pretty wealthy man, a pretty high status man, even he can't get anything done, which just shows how kind of bleak the situation is for Mary in 85.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We move on to the last topic. Breezing through it, over here. Which is that's the wrong timestamp. Which is Ian wants to become a chef. Now I don't really need to. If you know the time frame this is set, then you kind of know that being a chef isn't. It's not really a man's job. It's for those bloody women. So it is. Not my words, the words of Ian's dad, Pete. But yeah, it's seen as a woman's job, and basically he goes to Tony for some meal advice. Because if anyone knows how to cook, it's Tony. Like we've seen him. Also, side note, I know this is not relevant to it. But you know where he lives in his van. You know what I seen recently on on Instagram from TikTok. Do you know those like little frying pans you can get there, like those little stoves you can get?
I like skillet.
Yeah. There's some guy, right, in his. I'll find you the video. Some guy in his van who was fucking like cooking fish in one of those skillets. He was just frying fish and shit in his frying pan. I got a bit of butter, had it like hidden in the car, and
stink that van out.
it probably fucking did. Yeah, I think it was some fish and rice. It looked delicious, but also I'm not trusting anything off a skillet. But I imagine that's what Tony has to use, unless he just goes to the cafe. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah.
So
everything's cheaper back then.
Yeah, but don't forget the money's not as good. Everything's cheaper, but it's in the way we look at it.
There is much less of it. Yeah.
yeah. Compared to now, where there's more money but less opportunity. So kind of flipped the diagram, I guess. Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, I don't remember what even topic are we on? You've distracted me with a fucking man having a fucking fish in his van.
we're on Ian wants to become a chef, so he goes to Tony for advice for some I think it's carbonara.
It sounds like he's making a carbonara.
Yeah.
You know, carbonara with a spaghetti. The egg kind of like blends it together and has its own little like sauce. And basically, if you do it without it, it cooks through the spaghetti, through the heat of the spaghetti. But obviously, you don't want to put it on heat because you will just get scrambled egg in your fucking spaghetti. When if you're doing it for the nice little sauce, yeah, it's not really a fucking. It's not the way. As a man who's made carbonara in my time.
So he goes back and he goes to make carbonara. But Pete the asshole is like.
And also, we've not really talked about it so much, but Pete's a fucking knobhead about it. And man, I wasn't even going to try to mince the words. He's just basically, what, my son doing a fucking woman's job? Don't I get a say in it? It's like, well, like you just have the example, just like he's not becoming Arthur, is he? He's not becoming Arthur. He wants to get a job. He wants to be successful. He wants to make his own money, and he wants to do well for himself. And how he does that, even if it is through him becoming a chef, yeah, sure, it's not technically at this point in time probably more. It's a feminine occupation, like breadwinners come in and then the wife makes the dinner, that sort of shit. Nuclear family that a lot of these people would kind of aim to maintain. You both it makes sense, but also it's kind of like why the fuck. Why you like this essentially, and yeah, Ian's trying to like show the family like, all right, here's what I'm gonna cook. Here it is. It's gonna be better than what we've had before. And yeah, as you said, Pete comes in and starts like shadow boxing him, and Ian's like here with a fucking knife in his hand, or he's trying to like light the stove with a match, and Ian's just like, will you fuck off? I'm trying to cook here, but then Ian gets upset. He gets really aggy with Pete, and then Kathy's like, "Don't you talk to him like that," and Ian's like, "You're the problem as well." And he just gets really like downtrodden by it. He gets really, really upset because look, takes credit to say this is what I want to do. A lot of kids don't have any fucking clue, so at least Ian has an idea of what he wants to do and how he's going to do it. He's got the vision, which some people don't have, and he gets really upset. And he spends most of the week just kind of like grumping to Kelvin about it, as they're both having their own issues in their own way. Calvin's having issues with his dad and his mum because they're splitting up, and Ian's having issues with his mum and dad because they don't want him to be a chef, which is what he actually wants to do. Um, so it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and we move on to the final topic because this is technically going to be its own video, but also going to be a bit of educational. So we get the first ever Julius theme, and if you don't know, I would play I could probably sneak in the when it's its own video. I could probably sneak in the first three chords. But if you don't know, Julius theme is arguably one of the most iconic themes in soaps. I know, like the Coronation Street, like wow, 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 wow. It's probably iconic as well, but so is Julia's theme. So, well, the Duff stuff is probably first, then Julia's, but yeah. So Ian goes to Lou and he goes to talk to her, and Lou's like, "It's all right, it's all right. I'll fucking batter him for you. Don't worry, Ian. I'll fucking give him a little word." And she basically hugs him and reassures that everything's okay. Because we've all had that. Well, I don't know if we've all had the same discussion with our nana
I mean,
or grandparent, but
it's a
yeah, what?
no, sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say I don't know if we've all had this conversation, but we somewhat had this conversation either with a parent or a grandparent where they do help you, and it's lovely to see because it's so wholesome to see Lou being like reassuring that everything will be all right, and that Jesus is a police car, and that everything will be all right, and that things will get better. Oh, it's an ambulance. Never mind. And yeah, like I said, she just reaffirms him and hugs him. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by the fucking ambulance. Continue.
It's a really poignant scene because first, it's played out way longer than a lot of the scenes typically are. This is like a solid 3 to 5 minute scene at the end of the episode, and you once again, this is why. Well, this is at least why I specifically will always love Lou Beale. Is just because, yeah, sure, she spends 90% of the time being that miserable old woman, the battle axe. That if you do something she doesn't like, she'll let you know about it. But Ian, he's been really down, and it's like he's been down because he's just been in a mood. He's been down because he said, "I want to make something of myself," and his parents have said, "Yeah, well, you can, just not in what you actually want to do." So Lou kind of, brings up the history, has like a funny anecdote where Kathy's like, "Ian, you got to stop picking your nose," and then he says, "Oh, I've been good today. I did pick my nose, but I've put it all back." Just like embarrassing, but it's also like disarming as well, where it's like, "Oh, that's silly," it kind of one of those memories, those cool memories that your grandparents or at least in this case your nana will always hold dear, but you forget about it because so much else is going on. And he cries in her arms, and he's all sad, and she's like, "Look, this won't happen again. Just you wait till I word with him. He'll wish he was never born." It's just that full. It's what you want. It's like it's always the jokes, right? Where you go to someone who you think is going to give you this big pep talk, and instead they tell you to shut the fuck up and stop complaining. So it's like, all right, I'm going to bare my heart. It's like, I've just been really struggling lately. There's been a lot going on. And they just go, yeah, you're struggling. Well, everybody else is struggling. What are other people who are struggling more? There are people dying right now. So how about you shut the fuck up and stop being a little baby? And you're sat there just like, sound. Cheers. So, but instead, you go to like your grandparent, and they listen. They listen. They respect what you have to say, and they just hold you through it. And as you said, he tells Ian that it's all going to be okay. And that's exactly what Ian needs in this moment to actually. He needs that kind of validation. He needs to feel like somebody sees what he sees. And that to me is the kind of really, that's why it works so well, because you have this, and then you have Julia's theme, which, as we mentioned, is the kind of, at least these days, it's the signifier that something really big is happening at the end of an episode. Because everybody knows the Duff Duff. Everybody knows that. That's just the cliffhanger at the end. It's the thing you see that you hope you're going to watch and you're going to want to see the next episode. But Julia's theme represents something bigger. It's used less often. So therefore, that means that something big is happening. And it's so contentious that people often debate whether some Julia's themes are necessary or needed. It does become a big deal in itself, but to use it first, and I think as well, it's the perfect kind of allegory for early EastEnders in this instance. First, I think, yeah, I'll get into that later, but I do think it's groundbreaking to understand how to use this. Because obviously, when you make it back then, you don't recognize it's probably going to be still used 40 years on. You think, oh, that's a cool thing to signify that it's a bit more emotional. But equally, it's very humble, like early EastEnders is, because it's simply a grandson telling his nan that he wants to do something and his parents aren't letting him. It's humble, it's real, it's a situation a lot of people have gone through. So that kind of, and I think if they had just done it for any random thing, it probably wouldn't land. But because it's done in this way, it makes it feel bigger than it probably is. You know, it's the fake it till you make it, and it's used at the right time for the right story. And this is the start of something big, right? It's a start of something really huge that does continue till this day.
Yeah, and I do want to say, yeah, if you there was a tear in my eye because when you were on about Julia's theme, obviously before we recorded this video, I watched my favorite Julia's theme, which I know might be debated because it's technically her own theme because she has her own theme, which is Peggy's theme. But I was watching my favorite Julia's theme, which if people don't know, it's the scene with Peggy and Pat, and it fucking makes me cry every time. But it's basically where Peggy's dying, and she basically just turns to Pat. I know Pat's dead, but and basically goes, "Hey, look, you'll always be with me, won't you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I will." And it's just that, oh fuck, like it's just that moment that always gets me. And then they obviously ended kind of with the "you bitch, you can't." But like Peggy slash Julia's theme, and hopefully when Phil gets his own theme, hopefully Ian gets his own theme. Ian should really just be a variation of Julia's theme. Phil can, I don't know. Mick has his own theme for some reason. But um, yeah, no. As I
I
was
think
saying,
just to kind of characterize it, essentially, what makes it different from the Duff Duff? It's
the
that's obviously on the drums, right? But
yeah,
this is like a
piano.
slow building piano tune, and this once again, I don't know, it signals, or at least to me, like to think about it now. When I hear a Julia's theme in an episode now, first my brain goes, "Oh, this is big, this is important, this is going to be remembered." But also, usually, if you're even slightly like saddened by what's happening, that is often what the brain just goes, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. It's happening. It's happening. So it's one of those, it's a very poignant piece. It's a very interesting thing. And like it's weird because we don't really get too much variation
No,
on like the ending because we've been doing the Duff Duff for years and occasionally it changes slightly. But fundamentally, like, yeah, sure. In like the 90s, they swapped to the weird like jazz era of EastEnders that for that year that people like to try to forget happens. Um, but for the most part, it's kind of been set in stone. But yeah, so just for a little bit of history about Julia's theme. Um, as far as the EastEnders wiki goes, it has been used 83 times, and this is within what 41 years.
that's not
So
bad.
it first takes place on this episode, which is the 11th of April 1985, and the last use of Julia's theme was wait, no, that was a slightly different scene. That wasn't Julia's theme. Where's the last Julia's theme?
Wouldn't it be when Bernie and Felix are leaving?
Uh, no, the last Julia's theme I think was when Sonia, Baby Julia, Bianca, and Bex all leave, and that was the last Julia's theme because in the recent era we didn't use it very much. For example, we had the one with Karen and Mitch and Bailey and those people leaving, and then Whitney gets it, and then it doesn't get, and then it gets used about 5 times in the next like 4 months. But
Yeah, Martin gets. Oh, I picked Martin gets it, doesn't he?
uh,
When Martin gets crushed by the bean, don't they play it at the end of the
yeah, he
episode?
does. He does.
Yeah, as he dies. Yeah, and then yeah, obviously Sonya gets it, and I'd assume Bernie and Felix get a variation of it for some reason. So I don't know why I have that in my head.
They didn't get it.
I thought I
They
got
didn't
it,
get it.
but yeah, no, it's a
They
fantastic.
may have gotten a like ending kind of music, but
But it
they didn't
is,
necessarily get Julia's theme.
but it is the fantastic and iconic. It's been how many times you say 83 times? It's been used.
83 times.
So is this the only time it's used in the 80s, or is it used again? Or
No, it's used a couple more times. Obviously, it gets into spoiler territory. We It does get used fairly frequently in the 80s, but it starts to. I mean, I'll just say this much: between 87 and the 90s, it doesn't get used in the slightest. So it there's like a five. There's seemingly a 5 year gap between Julia's themes, which is kind of wild because that kind of shows the tides are slightly turning and the initial vision for it has slightly changed.
yeah, but is Julia's theme like? Does Julia's theme need to be used more often, or is it has it served its purpose? Does Julia's theme need a Julia's theme? Like to me, Julia's theme is one of the most iconic pieces of media, and I'm happy whenever I hear it. It makes me sad whenever I think about it because, like for example, again, like Peggy, Dot definitely should have got it. She probably did at her funeral, but she
I mean,
definitely.
Dot got her own variation of the theme.
Yeah, but she should, like, if she actually died on screen, she should have definitely got her own one. Lou, I'm surprised, didn't get her own version.
It was
Honestly,
a bit too early on, necessarily.
yeah, but Lou was like an iconic at the start. But anyways, it just depends. I think Ethel got her when she died, which is another
Yeah.
fantastic one. Because if you don't know that one, it makes me sad because Ethel's like dying, and she's like, "Dot, help me die." And obviously, Dot's a Catholic or a Christian. So she's just like, I can't. And then she does. And you're like, fucking hell. And then immediately the day after, the Slaters move in, and you're like, ah, for fuck's sake. So you're there crying, and then it's like, yeah, the Slaters have moved in. Woo. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I think just for some general takes on it, in the 80s it was used 13 times.
that's not bad.
In the 90s it was used 11 times. In the 2000s it was used around 17 times, I believe. In the 2010s there were 26 uses of Julia's theme, and in the 2020s there have been 12.
Oh,
So it's kind of it's one of those interesting ones where it comes and goes in waves. To be honest, it just fluctuates because I feel like it initially starts as something very humble, but then I mean, as we'll come to see, it's not that long between this and the next Julia's theme. So if people are getting a little bit worried about, oh, there's not been anything super tragic so far, hold, hold, it gets dark quite soon. Um, but still, represents something it represents something fairly kind of basically it starts off humble and eventually just goes from what would be sad moments to slightly happy moments or like crowning moments. But I guess in the terms of the question of does it get used too much, i I think it fluctuates, right? Where I definitely think that for some reason in the 2020s we stopped using Julia's theme for a good chunk of time. But then Also, in the same way, Chris Crenshaw refused to use Julia's theme until his last like 5 to 6 months in charge, where he went, "Oh shit, yes, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta have it more." So it was one of those really bizarre ones where fundamentally it comes and goes in waves. Like, let's say the recent ones, the ones that all took place in 2025 was Suki and Eve essentially saying they've won after Nish Panesar died. Then it was when Martin Fowler died in on the anniversary. Then it was Phil walking away from the mental health unit with his family at his side. And then it was Martin Fowler's like funeral, him getting buried, and then finally the next one was Sonia, Julia, Bianca, and Bex all leaving Walford.
That has to be one each month then.
Yeah, there was one in January, there was one in February, one in March, and two in April. So
Yeah, see, it does depend on who's writing the show, really.
like essentially, you have to earn a Julius theme. You can't
Yeah,
just put it on there and expect it to be sad. It's always a point I kind of make about soap, right? Where especially like in the one I angle, where I angle that like 2007 to about 2008, 2009, I argue that those were really good years in EastEnders. But fundamentally, once you start getting through 2009 into 2010, suddenly the writers start to kind of lose a bit of grip as to what they think is worth it, as to what they think is like really good stuff. So suddenly you get more serial killers and more tragedy, and you get the baby swap storyline, and you get domestic violence with. I mean, this is slightly ahead, but with Zainab and Youssef, you get a lot more darker material but without having a lot of that kind of brevity, a lot having those kind of lighter moments within, which make a lot of people at that point you just go, you do need to earn it a little bit more though. Like you can't just have more dark stuff happen and hope people keep going. This is how you lead to getting tragic characters, and tragic characters usually only go one way. They either get killed off or have to leave so the audience can begin to forget them. So and that's kind of the thing, right? Where fundamentally, I don't think if we go in recent history, I don't really think much in the 20 and I don't think much of the early 2020s really did deserve much of a Julius theme. One that's more contentious is Karen getting the Julius theme when her and the Bakers eventually leave. And then people will often discredit that Julius theme because it was essentially the end of the Taylor family.
yeah.
But they discredit that Julia's theme because she came back for one episode 6 months later.
No, she came back for 2 episodes. She came back in February to find her son. I sound like I'm doing Zoe now, but to find her son, to quote Zoe Slater, and then she came back for the funeral. But what people need to remember, which I'm just going to say this, and I don't care if it's offense, but surely if you're in the scenario, put yourself in a fictional character's shoes here, which I know is very hard to do. But if your son texts you on Christmas Day and goes, "Hey mom, I'm coming over. I'll be there like 6:30, maybe 7, maybe 8. Who knows?" Like you go, all right, my son's coming, and then a day goes by, then 2 weeks go by, then 2 months go by, then 3 months go by. You go, he's not coming, is he? He's
Yeah, you just go, what the fuck happened?
like because to me, I don't care that Karen got it because honestly, it was the end of that family, and
It's the end of the family.
I generally do, I generally do not see. Maybe the kids when they're older, I can maybe see that, but I do not see any of them remotely coming back. But what people need to remember is when Karen returned, she only returned for about 4 episodes in total. She returned to find her son in the week of February and to give Phil the arches back, I believe. Because Kathy basically signs an agreement with Sharon. Because Sharon went on holiday and Phil gets the Michelatos back. And then she comes back for the funeral in about 2 months later. So she does deserve it in my eyes. But it just really, I don't know. Great,
I mean,
probably.
equally, even recently, you did have. I say recently, like towards that time, you had Tiffany gets her exit, where she leaves Walford with Liam, and then in December, and then she comes back in March, and then leaves with Keegan again. So she gets two Julius themes for two separate exits. But I definitely, once again, it has to deserve it, and I feel like as a writer, you have to understand whether you have to understand what will actually be remembered, what storylines will actually be remembered. And yeah, sure, it's funny to say this with the example of Ian Beale crying to Lou. Yeah, sure, that's not necessarily remembered, but that's the first. That's the kind of template. That's the early adopting like of the theme. But I feel like, well, let's just say in some of the bad years, you don't tend to use it that much, right? Unsurprisingly, let's just take a look. The last Julia's theme for a while in the 2010s was on the 17th of November 2016. And then it doesn't get played until the 16th of February 2018. So there was a good time discrepancy between that. And I would argue, um, and I would simply argue that it's pretty important that if you have a particularly rotten era of the show, you don't abuse the foundations. You don't be like, oh, let's get Julia's theme. People love Julia's themes. Like, no, no, but it has to demand it. It has to need it to be helped.
Just out of curiosity, what was the tough stuff on that in 2016? I know Peggy gets it, but what happened on that specific episode? The warranty. You don't have to give me the
I
full
mean,
detail.
the last one, Masood got one out when he left with Camille to leave Walford.
Oh, in
But I
2016.
don't even think that's his full exit. Like, I'm pretty sure he still sticks around beyond this. So
Yeah, doesn't he stay till 2019? But then I'd assume Dr. Leg gets it in 2019 when he dies.
well, he leaves in 2016, comes back November 2017. So he leaves for a year,
Ah, right.
and yeah, then there's a gap till 2018, which is after Abby Branning's funeral, where Lauren walks off away and with baby Louie and I believe it's Josh, but obviously that didn't age. And then the gap between that one's still a month with the 2019 anniversary, where you have Dr. Leg's death and like Dot's last full storyline, really, and then he gets another one at the funeral. So
Who,
and yeah,
who,
then it doesn't get used for another 2 years. So
who the fuck is Josh?
oh, it's just a guy that Lauren was with for a time period.
Okay.
She was in a weird triangle with him and Stephen.
Right.
But yeah, I think to not get too bogged down in the minutia though, it's one of those things, right, where yeah, sure, you feel like you have to earn it. And that to me I feel like is very important. But equally sometimes you just go, oh, that would be cool though. Like some people just want to use it. And Chris Glenshaw in the recent time period just wanted to use it. He just really wanted to use it. He went, oh, Christ, I've forgotten to use it for the last, 2 years. Shit. Ah, well, best of 5 Julia themes in my last 4 months of running the show. But
But
yeah,
I feel like
I don't know, this video has gotten very weird.
I feel like that's where we end that topic. Is it worth it in the end? Yes. It is. Has it been overused? No, but there's definitely been times where it's definitely outstayed its welcome and been used for
Unnecessary.
unnecessary. Like I wouldn't be surprised if in the 2010s the fucking binge storyline got a Julius theme. Just make fun of the binge. Just very sad Julius theme. Obviously, again. I would recommend you don't listen to the one that's on Spotify because I showed Asha. It's so funny because someone drops like a fucking instrument or the microphone in the Spotify recording. So it's just kind of it just plays and you just hear a duff. It's not. I can't describe it. But yeah, I recommend if you're going to listen to it, go on YouTube and listen to it. And definitely if you want another version to listen to Peggy's theme. Peggy's theme is fantastic. But yeah, that's where we're going to end that topic. and we're going to move on to the thoughts and awards. Um, this week was fantastic. Like, it really shows what this Walford is all about, which is uniting communities and uniting families and making families stronger. It really shows in this week where obviously Neymar is talking to Neymar. Yeah, I said that correctly, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the footballer Neymar, and I was like, wait, I'm right, aren't I? But yes.
I mean,
Um,
it is Neymar with an A, but your accent will always win out in the end.
yeah. Neymar. There we go, Neymar. But Neymar, yeah, she's talking with Pauline, and it's just fantastic to see her with those scenes. And then obviously Pete coming in with the Buckfast wine. I think it's Buckfast, I don't know. Um, Comes in with the drinks, yeah, and they all drink, and it's just lovely. Couple that with obviously Ian crying to Lou, and Lou basically saying, "I'll fucking batter him." It's not. I know she doesn't deliberately say that, but she essentially says, "I'll fucking batter him." Which, you go, girl, you go. But it's a wholesome week, and I do recommend it. If any episodes you have to check out this week's episodes. The 9th and the 11th of April, 1995. Check those ones out. They're fantastic. Better than modern EastEnders. Just get that dig in there.
I mean, it's just a different type. It's a different type. It's a different show. Let's be real.
No, it is. It is.
Humble beginnings, but it had started off somewhere, and the beginnings are good. Once again, I mean, it just shows the effect of Julia's theme, really. Oh, excuse me. It shows the effects of Julia's theme with how important it is and how much history it now carries. It carries a lot more weight than it would back then. Because back then you go, oh, that was cool. I wonder when they'll do it again. And now to say it's only been used 83 times since is pretty crazy. And it just shows out how much more weight it has now. And that to me is it's beautiful. It's poignant. I think, obviously, it shows that they knew what the fuck they wanted to do. They knew, like, yeah, sure, everybody mocks like Tony and Julia now, and people mock Julia for being a bit of a control freak. But fundamentally, their vision for early EastEnders isn't really something to be um, kind of disputed. It still is fundamentally very strong. And if anything, it could even be slightly more bleak than modern EastEnders in a different way, because it isn't afraid to address, like, the current, like, the financial climate. It isn't afraid to briefly address the politics at the time. It is in itself, and for it being the show that was built to rival Coronation Street, a working class, like, so like a borough up north or whatever, but I don't know the exact terminology, but the street up north, it's a working class show about working class people up north. That's it. That's the whole premise. And this is pretty much a working class show about London, about Londoners in the poverty stricken East End. And that was all you needed. That was all you needed for people to care. And that's why I feel like it has stood the test of time. Yeah, sure, it's changed throughout, but fundamentally, the roots are still there. And that's what makes it special, because all that history kind of compounds, and you can think of characters you would have known for years and years, and you've seen entire lives, and that to me is absolutely crazy. So the scope and just the general, it's just the vision, right? It's the vision. That's the best bit about it to me. It's just, this is where it started, these are the humble beginnings, and you can generally track where it is then and where it is now and how it got there, and that to me is pretty fucking cool. But yeah, it was a solid week. Not too great. It is definitely made bigger by the first Julius theme. This is something of a memorable event, and I look forward to seeing more of it. And let's be real, at this point on, they gradually start to ramp it up a little bit more and start getting some of the bigger storylines that people start to know about. Like the Square's first real tragedy is coming up in a couple months' time. So be prepared. Be prepared.
Yeah. B, as you say, as the character famously known in EastEnders. And now it's time for the awards. We have 4 awards. We have the Julia and Tony Award, which is the most promising. It's the Chris Clencher equivalent in the modern one, because we like Chris Clencher and we will suck him off any opportunity for continuing on. Next up, we have the Sue Osman Award, which in the modern one is the Anthony Truman Award, formerly known as the Keanu Taylor Award of Excellence, formerly known as Steve Blackman. It's the most wooden. There you go. And then we have Underrated, which stays the same, and Who Needs Slapping Down, which is just who's been a bad bugger this week, you know. But yeah, so I guess we'll start with Julie and Tony. I'm giving it to the Julie's theme. Julie's theme's most promising, especially if I had never watched EastEnders. I would assume if it had continued on, if I was here in '85, I would have hoped they would have used it more, and I would have hoped it would have been better. But not better. It's fantastic, but like it was genuinely great to see the first Julius theme, and to hear that iconic first 3 to 4 notes is amazing. I love it so much. I can't recommend it enough. I want people to check out this stuff. Though. It's truly, it's truly iconic. I don't know if I'll be able to put it in the reactions. I'll try, but it is just us sat there silent for 3 minutes. But it is fantastic. It is wonderful, and that's what I'm giving it to. And yeah, what's your Julian Tony Award?
Yeah, it's hard to give it to anything else other than the Julius theme.
Yeah,
Like I said, there are episodes that will always be remembered in history. Will the episode be remembered in history? No, but the ending will be. So
yeah. Up next is the Sue Osman What's Most Wooden this week. Well, Dan when he goes to the strip club, that's what's very wooden. No, the hen party.
I'm just gonna give it to the social services.
But if they, I guess I can do the joke. They would later become Sky people. They would later work for Sky. Because if you don't know, the trouble of trying to cancel your subscription with Sky is so mental. Because you go, I want to cancel these channels, but we can throw in this free channel for an extra 10 quid. Ah, bloody hell. I know streaming services are a lot harder to cancel as well, but Sky, if you remember cancelling Sky, it's a fucking nightmare. The horror stories I heard from my dad from cancelling Sky is mental. Ah, bloody hell! We can give you another month of Sky Cinema for free if you stay for an extra year. Well, what do you say? Oh, but yes, underrated. Who's underrated? Oh, it's definitely Lou. It's definitely Lou.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give it to the same. I'm gonna give it to Pauline and Pauline's little posse of friends. I love it. It's why like these occasions are important, just because they are just a big pillar. Like the laundrette is a pillar of EastEnders, and you can't really say anything else. Just a shame that in recent years it was fucking held hostage by Karen Taylor. So you don't really get the same sort of conversations there, do you?
The way you describe the fucking like fucking ISIS, fucking Katie came in. It was held hostage. We need to take it back. To be fair, I don't know who is even in the laundrette nowadays. It's
Yolande.
Orlando, yeah. Back to square roots, back to normal now. Just bloody Karen. Also, I feel like they don't use the laundrette as often. Like they didn't really use it for a time period in the 2010s. It just kind of went. We need
Yeah,
a
'cause Karen was in there.
yeah, no, but it also when Dot was in there, they were like, we just need a scene with Dot.
Yeah, but they didn't really want to take Dot anywhere other than the house set. So
Like taking your gran out on holiday, but you only bring her down the road. Like, there you go, gran. New holiday down the road. But yeah, last aboard, who needs slapping down? Oh, Pete. Pete trying to shadowbox with his son, who's trying to light a match on the stove. You could cause a house fire, Pete. You could cause a house fire. What are you giving it to?
yeah, just Pete. He's such an asshole about it. So, oh, but what's the fucking? You're gonna be a chef? Oh, fuck off!
But also,
I'm
right?
disappointed. I thought you were gonna become a fruit and veg stallman. Grow up, Pete. Your
But
job's a fucking lie. Don't know what he's paying for his fucking life. Just work on the fruit and veg stall. How expensive is he selling the fucking 2p for a fucking grape? What's going on there? And he's one of the rich bastards. He's one of the rich boys of the square. He's working at a fruit and veg stall. It's ridiculous.
I mean,
And he's angry that his son's going to become a chef. Like, you know what? Like, if suddenly like robots took over selling fruit and veg, you know who's not getting put out of a job? A fucking chef. Fucking future proofing it. Mate, Pete Bill doesn't even. He's not. I bet he's not even running the fruit and veg stall in the next uh 7 years. Fucking arsehole. Future
What?
proof yourself, dickhead.
I'm just imagining you if you had a time machine, like, and you could go into universes. You going into the universe, being like, "P, stop being an asshole, stop being a dick,
Get a real job.
get a real job, become a YouTuber, Pete." Get cancelled in the first 5 minutes. But continuing on, this is going to be the reactions to the reactions and members' comments to week 7. I don't think we got any comments on the previous weeks other than Luke. So yeah, I'm going to very quickly switch now to number 4. That is the wrong Brave overlay. But there you go. We have 2 comments from Luke. He puts crying emoji and monkey covering the face emoji. There's the 2 comments that he left. That's one of the comments. The other comment he left does say Arsenal fans have been gooning for the Premier League since 2003-2004. Yeah.
Yeah, predominantly Arsenal are absolute bottle merchants. They cannot, after Arsene Wenger left, they cannot manage to get a Premier League title if it was fucking staring them in the face. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. It's outrageous. The
Uh,
amount of league titles they've squandered by just bottling it is outrageous.
and we
And
move.
that's all because I told you that they're called gooners.
And we move on to this is the podcast now because of the reactions, and this is what he says. So here we are once again back for the 7th episode of the Watching Walford Classic Podcast. Sorry to think that by next week's podcast this will be the longest running classic podcast, albeit covering half the episodes of the previous iteration. Thank you. Now on to my thoughts and tech.
Made it. History. Every episode is a history-breaking edition of the Watching Walford 1985 podcast.
And now we move on to his thoughts for the week. He says, nice. Now on to my thoughts and takeaways from episode 13 and 14. Firstly, it was nice to see Pauline and Saeed go check up on Ethel. And props to Saeed for actually thinking of somebody's feelings other than his own for once. If only he had those about Neymar and his marriage. But all props to Saeed go out the window quickly when we see Neymar with bags of Saeed's dirty washing that she's back going to the bottom of the comment. I didn't mean to. She's taken to the laundry. Stop clicking. To the laundry as she no longer wishes to do it by hand. And who can blame her? Yeah. Neymar opening up.
The person watching this on the second monitor is going to get really, really scared for a moment. Stop clicking. What did I do?
I also I can turn off your camera if you want if you want me to.
I'm having a munch, don't mind.
No. Just I didn't know if you want me to keep it on or not. Sorry. Neymar opening up to Pauline about her situation. How although she was born and brought up in England, her parents still hold on to the culture and believe their roots in Bangladesh. It's really well done. So nice to see Neymar find someone like Pauline that she can talk to and see as a confident, as a confident. I probably spelled that. I probably said that wrong.
Confident.
Pauline, as more of an experienced woman, offers support and guidance and feels it's exactly the kind of friendship Neymar needs. Pauline is perfect for that role, warm and friendly, but with the no-nonsense edge she's inherited from Lou. Saeed's reaction to Neymar calling him weak is priceless, and him starting off to the pub to get drunk just proves her point completely. It is.
I'm gonna prove you wrong, Mum. You say I can't clean my room. I'm gonna clean my room, but I've just got to go out with the boys first. So I'll be back, and then when I get back, I'll clean my room, and you'll be sorry. He doesn't clean his room, does he?
Another highlight is Lofty getting on Ethel for £20. She awesome. This leads to Ethel asking the borrow £20. Dr. Leg, when Dr. Leg realizes this for Lofty, he gives it to him only to immediately take it back for outstanding rent. Watching Lofty process that in real time is brilliant. I feel bad for Ethel.
I mean, it just proves that Lofty is Like, despite his brief association with Nick, he is a good man. At the end of the day, yeah, sure, he's a bit cheeky. He's a bit of a, he may take the piss a little bit, but fundamentally, he does acknowledge that Doctor Leg is. I mean, he's basically been really lenient with him, so you have to respect it. You have to respect it. So it was a really good moment. I do agree.
I feel bad for Ethel as I don't think she kidnapped Annie at all. She promised Mary she'd stay with Annie, but when the baby wouldn't settle, she took her out for a walk. With no push there, ends up carrying her, which for a woman of Ethel's age would have been exhausting, but she did it with the best intention.
I mean, she did still kidnap the child.
I wouldn't say that
whether
though.
it was whether it was malicious or not, she did still disappear with Mary the Punk's baby, and uh, Ethel doesn't really know Mary that much, and I mean, you know, not really the. I don't know. Look, Mary's a fucking worrywart at the best of times. So
Yeah. Let's shout out quickly the square jumps though the worst conclusion, especially Lou, who fuels the panic by talking about Ethel's past and her inability to have children. It's the first time I've felt Lou has been spiteful and let herself down. When Ethel returns when Lou says she knows she wouldn't do it or something like that, which feels quite two-faced, especially towards someone who's supposed to be your close friend. Um, if Ethel had indeed to kidnap Annie, she wouldn't have gone out and got a push there. I thought they'd had a lovely day. Well, I understand Mary's panic. I'll side more with Ethel here. She was confused and emotional, but ultimately just wanted to care for the baby.
I mean, I agree, but she did still take the baby without permission. So, look, I acknowledge the sympathy for Ethel. She wasn't doing it maliciously. It's not like she sat out and went, "Fuck Mary, that bitch." But she was looking at Mary just like, "Oh, you naive." D- You know, look, she can say, "Oh, I was just taking her out for a walk." She took the baby. She wanted to go on a day out with it. She lived vicariously through Mary. Look, you can feel bad for her because she wasn't doing it and fucking burning the clothes or whatever. Like she wasn't doing it in a super malicious way, but she did still take the baby from her mother. So, and whilst doing it, she was like, "Yeah, well, she doesn't deserve it anyway. It's not like me. I deserved a baby, but me and William can have one." So she did inadvertently take out a bunch of her anger about not being able to conceive a baby um, against Mary, and it's not Mary's fault.
Saeed collapsing drunk and then having to send for Neymar is funny but also frustrating, as it gets more stress for Neymar to deal with because of his wounded ego. Finally, Sharon, stop being so self-absorbed. Michelle is your best mate, and as you know, she likes Calvin. Yeah, you decide you want him to. I understand why Sharon is like this given Jen and Andrew. It's still frustrating to watch. Calvin loving this situation doesn't help either. What a knob. If Michelle wasn't such a sweetheart, I probably wouldn't care, but she deserves better from both of them. Overall, this feels like a nice return to form. This week's definitely more engaged from last, and it's great to see things picking up again. And finally, congratulations to Mary the Bone on getting her first stuffed off.
So yeah, fair enough, but I disagree about the Ethel stuff. The
On, a,
war lines have been drawn.
on a smaller note, I really like that moment with
Where were
Ian.
you with Annie Gate?
On a smaller note, I really like that at the moment with Ian being proud of the cake he baked for Cathy. Small scene with the contrast, his parents' reactions is really interesting and subtly sees his career path. I also found Dr. Leg's scene with Debbie interesting. When he learns she encouraged Ethel, he doesn't blame her, but you can tell he's concerned. He handles it in a measured way, cautioning her about meddling, especially as Ethel is still affected by Nick's attack. The small moment that really highlights Dr. Leg's role in the community, not just as a doctor, but someone quietly looking out for the people.
I mean, that's like
Oh,
the
the
whole
people.
point, really. Where fundamentally, I mean, it's what you like people who are quite established and they've kind of somewhat gotten their life together. You would hope that they're the kind of people who will support people around them. Because Dr. Leg, he's got his own surgery. He's pretty wealthy. He owns like buildings. You would hope that with the extra time that he has when he's not doing his job, you would hope that he does recognize like the smaller person in the people who are struggling, and that's what kind of makes him quite a redeemable character. Really, He he's very upfront and he's very honest, and he will often kind of, he's not the traditional landlord as such. He's very lenient and he's very honest, but he is he is a person first. He's not putting his needs over anybody else's.
Yeah. And their final comment from Luke is my award for this week. The Julia and Tony Award for most promising goes to a person, not a person, but to a friendship I'm really looking forward to seeing more of. Neymar and Pauline. I've already spoken about it, so I'll just say that seeing Neymar get some support and reassurance is a win for me. I don't know what that was, that noise. I'm sorry. The Sue/Saeed award for the most wooden goes to Saeed for his inability to be any good as a husband and for getting absolutely battered for the second week in a row. Admittedly, this one was self-inflicted. And as Saeed won this award, I just want to point out that he's so useless he couldn't pour water out of a welly boot, even if the instructions were on the heel. The underrated award this week goes to Dr. Lake for being part of some really nice moments to highlight his care for the community as well as teaching them a field lesson in a funny way. Lastly, Who Needs Slapping Down award goes to Sharon for being such a spoiled little trollop and trying to steal Calvin just because Michelle is interested in him. Yeah. And now, finally.
But who gets it? Who gets the laugh in the end?
No one.
Michelle.
And now we move on to the membership shoutouts. So in the fans, we have Milk Box, Luca X6X2X6, Ollie Kingston 7530, and in the watchers we have Dizzy Flora, we have Luke the EastEnders archivist, Sobriety and Solace, SD Cricket Fan, and the Rivets. So yeah, there we go. Honestly, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Unless you have anything to add.
No, I always make it a big deal to try and thank the members in a slightly different way. I mean, it's more of the same, right? It was kind of one thing I'll say that's kind of fun, and it's been fun for me as such, but I don't know necessarily if it's by doing this, but by kind of slightly changing the approach of what we were doing, probably it has allowed like my little kind of, basically lately I've been watching more soap shit than I ever have, and I am pretty happy that it's gone this way, because for a while there I was getting really, really jaded. But now I'm basically watching everything that comes out as quickly as I humanly can, which is actually really fun. So, thank everybody for the continued support and allowing for that extra bit of room for, fingers crossed, I keep watching everything when it comes out, because it has been really fun. So, yeah, thank you to all the members for keeping it real, keeping it honest, and, being pretty influential, actually telling us stuff that sometimes we need to hear, like the audio problems. But all in all, just thank you all for supporting the channel directly.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.